There are calls for Karen Bass, LA Mayor Karen Bass, to step down or to be recalled. I believe she is a sacrificial lamb that they're going to end up, the Democrats are going to throw out to protect Gavin Newsom. That's the plan. We're getting into all these calls. Update on the fire situation in California. Welcome to the Doug TenNapel channel. This is Doug in Exile, and I'm so thankful you're watching. Hope you leave a comment below. Just check in and say hi. It really helps push this video out and helps this channel out. That's your part, and we want to hear from you. Come on, this is what it's about. Let's watch.
The community, I'm speaking to the community, the 4 million Angelinos who are served by this joke of a city council. You need to understand, no freaking money for LAFD. Need to fix that. LAFD needs to be independently audited by an outside agency. It needs to be objectively, independently assessed the necessity of so many assistant chiefs and higher up, assess the mass incompetence of the department. And just for all of you giving us your crocodile tears, we're so devastated. 12 of you voted to defund LAFD. I'm going to repeat that. 12 of you voted to defund LAFD, including you, Tracy Park, and you, Monica Rodriguez. You both love to posture as loving the fire department. You voted to defund it. And the 3 of you that didn't vote to defund, Soto Martinez, Rahman, and Hernandez, you just bitched about how terrible LAPD is in your opinion. Like that there was no expression of concern about the lethal consequences of defunding LAFD. Oh yeah, and just Tracy Park in particular.
General public comment?
Yeah, you love to yammer about how much you love LAFD. The union gave you $400K, you voted to defund them, screw you.
This is a real live LA City Council meeting. So this is the public is able to address their board on their grievances about the fire. And they're all just unloading. So I thought this guy was the best of them all, who used the least amount of bad words, because this is Los Angeles.
You guys voted, you voted for a vaccine mandate under which valuable, irreplaceable LAFD employees R.J. Kilpatrick, Nate Helton, Matt Mamone, John Knox, Chris Curtis, and Ed Brocksmith were fired for refusing to comply with this illegal pseudoscientific. It's also the reason why nobody wants to work here and why you have no recruits. You all need to resign, especially the loathsome neoliberal joke of a mayor. Crowley needs to resign for having done nothing because she's an appointed lapdog. I mean, she's just a run-of-the-mill bureaucrat. She's not uniquely evil, but she needs to resign. It needs to be an elected position. You're all bought and paid for morons, and may you all rot in hell for all the people you've killed. Thank you so much.
Like LA, that guy's probably a writer of some kind, so I appreciate his update on us all. They are going after Karen Bass's head. They want her to step down and get out. Now, this is Gavin Newsom back in 2022. This is going to prove that he knew.
If you don't believe in, climate science, you have to believe your own eyes. Places, traditions, lifestyles being radically changed in real time. Just think about it in the state of California, just the last few years, 3 towns have been wiped off the map. Greenville, Grizzly Flats, you recall a few years ago, Paradise. The extreme heat, extreme weather, extreme drought. The wets are getting a lot wetter, not just...
Hold on, I got to straighten him out on this one, because California has had 3 of the 4 last years were among the wettest. 3 of the 4. And what happens when it's wet? All of that underbrush and chaparral and fuel grows, and then it dries out in the fall/winter. Every year this happens, and it provides fuel. Then the wildfires come from the Santa Ana winds that blow backwards on the ocean, and they either take down old power lines or they start blowing illegals campfires across. Totally preventable if they cleared out that chaparral and all of that fuel. So he makes it sound like, oh, extreme weather. Fire is not weather. He's snowing everybody, and his days are numbered. He's not going to stay in office for long.
The dry is getting drier. We have radically reorganized our thinking, and we've taken our ambition, and now we're manifesting an action that is world-beating. What I mean by that is we have not just set forth the most audacious goals, we've backed up those goals with regulation and laws. There's no jurisdiction anywhere in the world that has set now more ambition, backed up by not just policy and a regulatory framework, but by a record-breaking $54 billion we put up in this year's budget to fast track our transition to low.
He's bragging about the bureaucracy, about their laws and regulations, which is what causes. And by the way, we'll stop them from rebuilding one single house as long as those regulations stand.
Carbon green growth. So, and with all due respect to those conservative governors out there, Greg Abbott and others, they're as dumb as they want to be. And
they're laughing at Greg Abbott, who lives in Texas. Texas is a desert. So Southern California, by the way, a desert. You don't have wildfires in Texas.
just doubling down on stupid, and we will not follow their path. We're going in a completely different direction.
Oh, change your hair gel, buddy. What a trashy, trashy guy. And what a conspiracy theorist, too, that he's making fun of Greg Abbott, who is famous for running one of the tightest states. And then here he is just colossally bad. Now, I'm going to tell you, they just did a poll, Rasmussen did, asking LA residents or California residents what they thought was the cause of the fires. Was it weather? Was it in governance? Or was it fires set by people like illegals? And 70% of them think the fires were started by either homeless people or illegals. So that's going to bring us to this Marco Rubio quote, oddly enough, on the border, because when we fix the border, you will lower the causes of fire if illegals are setting fires. Now, the one guy that they caught, the arsonist who was setting fires, he was an illegal alien. So I'm not stepping out of turn and making empty accusations here. Here's Marco Rubio, just breaking the skull of Meet the Press.
Donald Trump has said he's willing to build migrant detention camps and deploy the U.S. military to deport the more than 11 million undocumented immigrants in this country. It would be the largest deportation operation in American history. Do you support that plan?
11 million. That's an outdated. That was the number 10 years ago. We're talking upwards of 20, 25, maybe 30 million.
Well,
There's been almost 10 million people that have entered this country unlawfully in the last 3 years.
To the question, would you support it?
The number varies big time. I mean, it's another 9 to 10 million people just in the last 3 years. The answer to your question is yes. We cannot absorb 25, 30 million people who entered this country illegally. They're here illegally.
Thank you, Marco Rubio. He's going to take a stand against illegals, which is what we need. It's one thing to have illegals here. It's another thing every time Lake and Riley murder happens, then suddenly you go, look, this is beyond just, oh, are they here or not? This is an unforced error now. When a fire starts, this is now an unforced error. It's not just, is there an illegal here or not? This is the firefighters addressing the staffing shorting in LA, which is also why Karen Bass has to step down. All of California's leadership, their corrupt leadership, but especially Karen Bass, Gavin Newsom, they got to step down.
If we close one station, if we close one resource, the residents of Los Angeles are going to pay the ultimate sacrifice, and someone will die.
Just last month, fire personnel packed an LA Fire Commission meeting, begging the city to rethink the budget.
These cuts came at exactly the wrong time, with calls for services at an all-time high and our firefighters at their breaking point.
We are straining our department's resources beyond the brink, and we cannot continue on this path.
City Councilwoman Tracy Park was there too.
Now, that was 1 month ago before the fires. Those firefighters articulated that they're about to do these budget cuts, and they said, you're going to reap havoc. If you guys go through with this, we're going to lose firefighters. We're going to lose lives. You're not going to have fire hydrants going. You're not going to have fire hydrants going. You're not going to have fire trucks going. So they got a fair warning. Now, here's the last one that I got is, this is Dennis Quaid, famous actor, Randy Quaid's brother, Randy Quaid, who was in ID4 and those European Vacations. Dennis Quaid here, who played Ronald Reagan. He was in the movie The Rookie. He goes all the way back. I think he's a great actor. He did Inner Space, like comedies. He can do anything. I think he's a great straight man. Here he is on recalling Karen Bass.
I'm really in favor of a recall. I think it's that important to not wait for the next election, to have a recall of Mayor Bass and have an election. And this is not about Republican or Democrat.
Now, when he says that, he has special credibility with me. This guy he played Reagan in the movie and they were trying to push him on his politics. And he said, look, I'm right in the middle. He's kind of a Republican leaning guy, but not at all like a go Trump anything. So when he says he just wants for the good, and he's not being a political just mouthpiece, he really is a centrist guy. So for him to come out this hard against Karen Bass has a lot of credibility with me. This is not just politics. He really means it as representing a citizenship.
I have a question. Who would you rather rebuild the Palisades? Mayor Bass, who had all this warning, or Rick Caruso, who built the Grove. He built the Palisades Village, which is 99% intact. In fact, that's the guy that I want to rebuild.
Now, that's Caruso. That's the guy that ran against Karen Bass, and she won the LA mayorship against Caruso, who is a millionaire developer. Who better to build? He's actually a builder with a lifetime of experience. Like he said, he built this Grove. He built these malls that are right up against the hills, and they're 99% intact. They didn't get wiped out. He has fireproof buildings. He built them in the first place. He already ran for mayor, and Karen Bass beat him purely because she is a communist, first black, blah, blah, no qualifications. Caruso's an actual builder that brought it back to America, and he was narrowly defeated. If they recall Karen Bass, they could put Caruso back in. And I'm iffy on Caruso. This is a California Republican. All California Republicans they have to be kind of rhino-y. If you're down in LA in Southern California or out towards the Bay Area or something, you're not going to get elected if you're a hardcore Trumpy Republican. So I'm just saying, lower your expectations already on this guy. But I agree with Dennis Quaid. They're going to run into trouble with that Karen Bass who just sits there and smiles like a zombie. Has no ideas rolling out in her head, no specifics on rebuilding, no specifics on leadership or drive or push or removing laws. And Gavin Newsom, too, is in the way. But it's specifically under the LA mayorship, right? Gavin Newsom's all of California. Karen Bass is Southern California. And they have to replace her. There's massive calls right now online for her to be recalled. So they're organizing a recall. It takes a certain number of signatures. I think they've got 65,000 up already. But they have to get a ton of signatures. There's liberals are going to be signing this recall. They're going to go for a recall of Karen Bass. And I'll keep you guys posted on how the numbers go. I'm Doug in Exile. Thank you guys for watching my channel. And here comes another video right there.